minus some basic diag for that. Tech Tuesday update coming at you for the last time in 2022. It's going to be a white Christmas here in Conneaut, Ohio. And it's cold and snowy out there, but it's warm and busy inside, and we're very fortunate for that. So first and foremost, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, many blessings and holiday cheer to you and your family. Thank you for supporting this channel. If you haven't yet, make sure you like, subscribe, and jump on the bandwagon, because we do some really cool things here. You get to meet a whole bunch of the team members and the shenanigans we get ourselves into, and then we just build really wicked cool Jeeps, and you want to see that. You do. So do that now. Behind me we have 4 different projects going on this side. We have one behind us immediately there, and behind Davey the Savage we've got 2 Jeeps in the vintage resto mod area. So, and then we got a couple outside in the parking lot. We're gonna make this a slightly more in-depth, maybe-ish one video for you, just to kind of tell you some of the specifics that we have going on here at our facility. And we're gonna start right over here. We're gonna come in on this. This is a Jeep YJ Tub. It was actually a 1995 YJ Tub, if you all know. That was one of my bucket list Jeeps. Check that one off my list many years ago. This one I actually just picked up. I went to Charleston in October, delivered some stuff down, picked up some stuff on the way back. This was relatively rust-free. It was as clean as they come at this point. And we brought it in. And the mad scientist, Scott Brown, went ahead and started doing some metal work on it. If you're following along on any of his social media, you'll know that that's a big thing for him at this point, is all of the different small precision metal pieces that he's building for his own personal projects, and then for us here at SFJ. He went so far, he actually rebuilt all of these pockets here and made sure that these bolts all thread in for the seats. Little dimpled riser is actually all hand formed, and he did that as well. And then just goofy things that that you just wouldn't think of, where there were holes where they had mounted speakers over the years. By the time that, you know, one of these Jeeps comes to us, it's 25, 30 years old. So it's had people doing cattywampus things to it for decades. And so for our customer, we want to start with the best possible product, and that means going in and filling all these holes. So he went ahead and welded and filled them, and then used the grinder and knocked it all down, so we have a nice, clean, flush mounting surface. We're going to send this tub out and get the inside of it sandblasted and the bottom side of it sandblasted, and then we're going to go ahead and do a nice Raptor lining top and bottom to seal this up. You're not going to want to miss this one. This is a really cool Jeep that we are doing a CJ YJ conversion. So what's that mean? YJs and CJs are actually just kindred spirits, really. And the engineers at Jeep took a lot of the aspects of the CJ and improved the functionality when they released the YJ. Now, the biggest differences that they ran into: A, marketing; B, a new line or sourcing of parts. So a lot of the diehard CJ guys of that era in the late 80s were not so thrilled by the YJ, the yuppie Jeep. And that's because the YJ was a little lower, it had a little less robust parts on it, and it was specifically branded and marketed to, you know, to people who weren't exactly Jeep enthusiasts at that point. The big thing that sticks out, if you're not sure, are square headlights. YJ's square headlights. It is the only Wrangler or convertible based Jeep that we have had in the production since the 40s that has square headlights. Listen, it's hip to be square. It was the 80s. That's what we were doing. Cherokees, and then the Wranglers, and then eventually ZJs by the early 90s, square headlights, Grand Cherokees, so on and so forth. That's what we did. We didn't know any better. I actually loved a YJ, but now, because they are actually kindred spirits, we can actually do a CJ conversion front end on a YJ and make it look fairly authentic from a few feet away that it's actually a YJ, but give you that nice HO 4.0 6-cylinder engine, gives you the wider frame, a wider stance on the axles, and nice quality leaf springs that are 2.5 inches wide at all 4 corners. Gives you just a better ride quality in general. Not to mention there's a ton of aftermarket parts available for performance for the YJ because of its more robust construction. From 20 feet away, you're gonna have to be like, is that a YJ? Is that a CJ? So starts with a really solid foundation. Brought that up out of the south. We're even going so far as we brought in this roll bar, which is called a sport style roll bar. That was a YJ production piece. And so we eliminated the family style cage that was from 91 to 95, and we're gonna go back to the sport style bar. So when the top's off the Jeep, you really have to question whether it's a YJ or a CJ. Come on down the project line here. This is the everyday TJ, okay? So customer comes in, super low mileage TJ. Been in their family for just under a decade. The kids drove it, they've driven it, they've lent it out to people, it sat, it kind of started to fall apart. It's one of the worst things you can do is let a vehicle sit for too long, and it rusted away. So we have a TJ with 60-some thousand miles, and it is just an absolute rust bucket. But these used market prices are bananas. So what do? At SFJ, we rebuild it. Like, things have an infinite lifespan as far as I'm concerned. And these are just big giant Lego sets. So that's what we're gonna do. Another rust-free South Carolina frame. It's all clean, painted, looks beautiful. We started swapping over some of the actual chassis parts. And at this point, we're getting ready, or we were getting ready to do the big swap. What we found, that TJ came in, customer jump started it, drove it onto a trailer, it bounced down to his house, parked it overnight, went to bring it to us in the morning, and this was a couple months ago, and wanted to move it a little bit on the trailer, wouldn't start. Brings it in to us anyways, because he needed to make his appointment. You know, we're busy. He wanted to make sure that he was here for the crawlover. Shows up, doesn't start. It's been sitting here on our property for almost 2 months, no starty. We started doing the swap-ish, and it still wasn't starting. Coffee break. We started doing a bunch of diag, and eventually, through a process of pinning and eliminating and trying to actuate aspects of the vehicle, the final last thing that it could be was the ECM, the computer control of the Jeep. For no intentional reason, we don't know why. Customer says, hey, it jump started, it just always ran. So at that point in time, through good, thorough diag, we called up our friend Mark at WranglerFix.com and had him ship us out a new ECM, new computer for this 2002 TJ. We plugged it in, fresh battery, good connections, boom, Jeep fired up. That is awesome. Solid diag, great product from Mark and team at Wrangler Fix, and the Jeep runs beautifully. It's just the idea of keeping our older vehicles alive. And yes, I know you heard me call a TJ an older vehicle. They're historic. Literally in the state of Ohio, they can have historical plates. All of you TJ enthusiasts out there right now, I know you're fried on that one. It's the reality of the situation. Historical vehicle is a TJ Wrangler at this point. Move on down. This is a sweet one. This customer has a pretty fun story. Bought it online. We've been doing a bunch of work to it. He really likes to use it in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. And we've done gears, we've done some calibration tools, we've done a bunch of once-over, some front-end work on it, and now it is getting a full Iron Rock off-road front and rear long arm suspension, Rock Link upgrade, front and rear, and Fox shocks. So the big thing it's in today for, this week it'll be here. We're gonna be cutting off all those lower control arm brackets, putting on those beefy Iron Rock off-road brackets, and securing that vehicle so that it's got the best on-road and off-road manners. It'll be absolutely a monster, but ride soft as can be on the highway for those long drives to the UP. Pan over here, we'll see Jeffrey The Italian Stallion finishing up an O2 sensor replacement. Customer who's just got a really really clean little JK there. It has these constant, he put I don't want to say a quality or not quality, put a pedal throttle response product on his Jeep, and since then has had quite a few small electrical and fuel delivery issues. So piece by piece, we've been eliminating them. Jeep is calling for an O2 sensor, so that's what's going on. Jeffrey's getting finished up. Of course, this is the O2 sensor that's actually behind the inner wheel well, so we had to go ahead and do that removal. Fortunately, that seems to be going appropriately, and we've done these before, so not the end of the world. Scoot over to rack 1 for us. This is a particular Jeep. We also did a Iron Rock off-road lift kit on this one as well, I believe. Was set up really nicely a couple months ago. Customers put they bought some winter tires from wherever, and within a nominal period of time of putting those winter tires on, death wobble came back. Needless to say, it's back for some diag. We found that the tires were way out of balance, and in the process had taken out some hub assembly. So we're going to go ahead and replace the hub assembly. We've already rebalanced the tires. We took one of the tires that probably has a broken or shifting belt, and we know that because when we go to balance them ourselves, what's called chasing weight, and the weight just kind of keeps moving where it's calling for. So we have to chase weight. We took that tire and we moved it to the back, and we put the best tires on the front at this time and rebalanced them. So that one will get a couple little pieces done to it, and away it goes. Let's pan around real quick, hit up our CJ corner here. Hashtag not a restoration. Honestly, we've had a little hiatus from this one, mainly because our lead builder on that, the mad scientist, has gotten sick. He was a little cloudy. He's perfectly okay, just getting over everything, but we didn't want to do that really technical wiring that requires of us on this while he was a little sick. But in the process, we've got, interior coming out. You can see just how much wiring is going on the inside. All the looms laid out, the wires here. So we're going to tuck all that up real nicely. Here is that M38 beautiful Jeep that we're doing. I'm not happy with the color. It came back from powder coat. I'm not happy with it. We got to figure out what we're going to top coat this with, how we're going to do it. We're going to have to go ahead and rough this up and adhere some new, better quality, or not better quality, because this is really good quality, better to my liking color paint on it. But the motor has already been built at the shop. We tore into the axles. We need to rebearing them. It's 70+ year old technology. We got to make it as good as it possibly can. And if that YJ tub was bad from a few decades, think of just how crazy and convoluted this particular Jeep is from 7+ decades of existence. The other thing behind me is the body for this Jeep. So soon, in the early 2023, we'll be bringing that body down, and we're gonna let the mad scientist work his magic again and get that original body as cleaned up as humanly possible, get all the bad rust, get all the holes filled, make that thing so that it's ready, paint ready, and that this thing is a nice turnkey, parade ready, go to events and really enjoy the Jeep for what it is. Let's head outside, finish up this tour, and talk about a couple of the toys we have out there before we say deuces to 2022. This is the Great Lakes at its finest. We experience all 4 seasons fully, and I love it. So this I could take all year round. It's when I have 8-10 inches of snow that really stresses me out, but we're good right now. The white CJ is one that we've been working on previously. Happy to have that back. We're just doing some cool stereo upgrades, throwing some different, more customer friendly seat belts. It had the 5-point racing harness seat belts in there. Those will be here soon. It's getting beats, and those will be going in. And that Jeep is reasonably, minus a little bit of diag for, some leaks, because it's a 40, some year old Jeep, 30, 40 year old Jeep. Minus some basic diag for that, it's headed out itself. They be shooting! I wasn't ready. Woo! All right, we're gonna move on. This is one of my favorite Jeeps. we're going to be talking a lot about that one because it's just a gnarly over-the-top build. It's on its small tires right now, which are 37s. He took the 40s off for the winter. He went ahead and wheeled on it recently and grenaded the rear axle, which is not great for him. But that just shows the proficiency and the power that this particular Jeep makes. It's a 2.0 turbo, and it's got the Super Chips XT on there. It's got all the power in the world. Unfortunately, he found himself in a really precarious position. Makes for a great story of being just lodged into the mud and muck and trying to climb out of it, and then doing hill climbs, and a testament to the quality of the build of the Jeep that's on there. And we'll be talking about that Jeep more. But right now, it's got a bad rear end, and we got to do something about it. Here's to what I think is coming down the pipe for it. It'll be pretty gnarly. You'll want to find out. Next to that is the Everyday TJ. The goal of that job is to make it look, boom, like that when we're done. That means we're not lifting it, we're not putting gnarly tires on it, we're not doing aftermarket bumpers, we're not doing anything crazy. We're just making it an everyday driver so that that customer can enjoy the nature of a Jeep Wrangler all year round. In the summer, you take the top off. In the winter, you have the top on in four-wheel drive. It's just a great utilitarian vehicle, and that's the goal of the Everyday TJ. Scroll past the International, which I have plans for as well. So we'll see. Maybe we'll talk about that in the future. Maybe we'll give you, the viewer, a ride along in the truck because they're fun and interesting. But we'll talk about the two-door XJ there. Really love this Jeep. Unfortunately, it's been sitting for some time now. The block actually cracked at one of the head studs. It is getting a built stroker, and it's a mild build, so it's going to be a 4.6 displacement stroker. And so I'm really looking forward to getting that particular Jeep in rotation, getting it done, and getting it back to the customer so he can enjoy it and the unique nature of what that Jeep is. It too has a long arm front suspension on it from Iron Rock Off-Road, and a lot of other cool things that we've done with the recessed rigid lights and some of the other neat pieces of it. I'm looking forward to seeing it run down the road in the trail again for that particular customer. Folks, it's been awesome. 2020-22, I'll be honest with you, I'm not going to miss you. It's been a crazy, wild, up and down year. We here at SFJ have just kind of kept on trudging forward and doing what makes us successful. It's beautiful winter in, you know, the Great Lakes region of the United States. So we're going to enjoy it. We're going to go out. We're going to use our Jeeps, play with them. We're going to build them. Hopefully you enjoy this. You're sitting at home watching in the warmth of your house. You know, give us a call. Log on to sfj4x4.com. Grab yourself some merchandise. Support our podcasts, the work of our team here, and look for us in the new year for Tech Tuesday updates, all of the good how-to videos, and all the other stuff that makes us uniquely SFJ 4x4 Simpson Family Jeeps. Until then, Jeep family, Jeep on.